about this time last year, you were invited to go on this show, the Blox. So tell us, what were you told about the show? How was it explained to you? And why did you decide to go on it?
I like to call myself a lifelong learner. I'm always looking for opportunities to stretch myself, to develop my skill set. And, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I thought, this would be just the perfect opportunity for me to, learn some new things, apply those learnings to my business. And so I felt like it was just a perfect fit for me to put my name in the hat in hopes that I would get accepted to the show. Obviously, then I showed up in last November for the recording of season 19 of Blox.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Lean Solutions podcast. My name is Catherine MacDonald, and I am joined today by person who's usually my co-host, Patrick Adams, but today he's also my guest. Hello, Patrick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Catherine. It's great to see you. We saw each other not that long ago at the Lean Solutions Summit in Detroit, but it seems like a lifetime. Like we haven't been together to record an episode since then. So it's like we're just catching up here. It's great.
It is, and it was such a great event. We never even sort of got to talk much about it. We did at the time, but not since. So it was such a great event, and well done on all the organising and to the whole team. It was really fantastic. I had such a good time. So thank you. It was
Oh
amazing.
yeah. No, I'm glad you were able to make it. I know it's a long flight
Mm.
for you and for many others who came in from overseas, but the community, the people, I mean, it's worth it. It's just we had so much fun together. Everyone, just having super valuable conversations, tons of fun, lots of hands-on learning. It was just a great event all around it, which is why I love it every year. It's definitely the highlight for me every year. Tons of
Yeah,
fun. I was glad you were able to make it this year
yeah,
and we
no,
were able to meet
so
in person for the first time.
exactly. And Jane and Andy and everybody else who I seem to have met everybody on LinkedIn, and every second person I recognized and they recognized me. And it was just this, wow, this is you. And it didn't seem real. It was amazing. It's brilliant. It was so cool. But anyway, today we are not going to go into the summit, but we're going to talk about something a little different. So Patrick, you're going to be my guest, and I'm going to talk to you about something that you got involved in last year, about this time last year, right? Yeah.
Yes, I recorded the show last year and it just now dropped. So it takes a while for them to, I think, put together all of the video editing, everything like that. So the season just dropped.
Okay.
Uh,
So we're
yes,
talking about a show called The Blox, Blox. Is that right?
you got it. Yeah,
Okay, that's as much as I know, really. So I'm going to have a lot of questions about this. I know little
perfect.
bits and pieces, and it sounds really, really interesting, really, really different. So I really want to know more. So about this time last year, you were invited to go on this show, The Blox. So tell us, what were you told about the show? How was it explained to you, and why did you decide to go on it?
Yeah, so I actually had a friend who was also on the show a few years back, and she had nothing but amazing things to say about it. And I like to call myself a lifelong learner. I'm always looking for opportunities to stretch myself, to develop my skill set. And as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I thought this would be just the perfect opportunity for me to learn some new things, apply those learnings to my business. And I knew that at the Blox, they also teach the lean startup. So I knew that that was part of what we would be discussing and applying. And so I felt like it was just a perfect fit for me to put my name in the hat in hopes that I would get accepted to the show. I know
Okay.
they have thousands and thousands of entries, for each season that they publish, And so I filled out the application, sent in information. There was a bunch of things that I had to send in along with that. And then lucky for me, I was able to land a video interview with their one of their producers, and I remember I was in Kazakhstan on a totally different time zone, and when the interview happened, and it was probably in my time in Kazakhstan, I think it was, I don't even know, 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. or something like that, and it was in my hotel room, and Cassie was the person that I met with, and we just kind of went through my background, my experience as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. Why did I start my business? What was the purpose of Lean Solutions? And what it is that we do for our clients. And through that entire interview, it just kind of solidified my feeling of, yes, I definitely would love to be on the show. But I had to wait until they gave me the acceptance, which I received, I don't even know, maybe a week and a half later. I received an email with an acceptance letter to the show and all the details around when I needed to show up in Omaha, Nebraska. And, they do a great job with all of their instructions. So their work instructions were pretty amazing, step by step, on what we needed to do and when we needed to show up and how it all needed to happen. So
Oh,
that's how it
excellent.
all began. And
Yeah.
obviously, then I showed up in last November for the recording of season 19
Mm.
of Blox.
Okay. And this is a competitive show, right? So you're competing against other contestants. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. So in each season, there's probably anywhere from 100 to 150 different businesses that are part of the season, part of the show. And every business, either business owner or business partners, are in attendance it's basically I think they call it the world's largest live-in startup competition, and one of the most unique shows on entrepreneurship. So it was very interesting to be part of it. But you meet hundreds of other entrepreneurs when you're there, and
Mhm.
from all different industries, all different businesses, and that there was a ton of value in that alone. Just the networking that was able to happen there with so many different business owners from around the United States, but also it was a competition, more of I don't know, maybe more of a friendly competition. Everybody was there for the same reason. That's why it was so unique, because you're there to learn as much as you can about how to apply these principles to your business. But also, there's a little bit of a twist in the competition side of things, where you're kind of competing against all these other business owners for the title to win the Blox at the end of the week, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool. So
Okay. So I definitely want to know more about what exactly you were doing in these competitions, and how long were you there for, Patrick? You were there for
the filming happens in one full week. So
one full
you
week.
you arrive. I think we arrived on Sunday. Filming begins on Monday morning, and it's a 24 hour, like you sleep, but you're pretty much being filmed the entire time outside of sleeping, from Monday morning until Friday when we finish the show.
Wow. Okay. So I definitely want to know more about what you did, but tell me, this sounds, it's a little bit like, maybe in my head, other shows we've seen before. Like, we've had The Apprentice, where people compete from a business perspective. We've got The Traitors, which is not about business, but it is a competition, and there's a bit of mystery to it. So where did this concept of the Blocks come out of? And it's 19 seasons in, so it's obviously pretty popular. So tell us a little bit more about the concept and the history, if you can.
Yeah. Well, I know that they debuted in 2019. Wes Bergman is the creator and producer of the Blocks. Wes he's appeared as a or as a participant on multiple shows like The Real World, The Challenge, House of Villains, Worst Cooks in America. the traders. So he's been on all these different reality shows himself personally, and then he created the Blox. Again, back in 2019 when they first debuted, and since then, like you said, we're in season 19 now. So they're releasing, I don't know how many seasons every year, but those seasons are released, and then they're available to watch on like the Blox Apple apps in the App Store, their app, and then also on Facebook at Beta Blox, also on their website betablox.com. And then I know they do submit there might be a season or two that shows up on like the Prime Video or different places like that. Season 19 I think has been submitted, but it's not available yet on anything outside of the website and the App Store, Facebook. So that's where, but the whole season is now available. It all dropped, so you can go in and binge the whole entire season, which is really nice.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm just getting all the inside scoop here first. Okay, so tell us then about your week. So I still need to get a sense of what this competition was about. What were you asked
Yeah.
to do? How did it challenge you for the whole week? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me why did I do this? Like, what was the purpose behind it? And really, for me, and I mentioned I'm a lifelong learner, and there were definitely some things that I wanted to learn during the week, which I did. The networking, all of those types of things were definitely super valuable to me. Uh, I also like to challenge myself too, so like this was something that I'm a very competitive person. So, going into this, I knew that it was a competition. And so that was kind of a fun spin on it. I knew that I was going to be learning a lot, but I knew that also that I was going to be in this competitive mode when I arrived there. So, throughout the entire week, you're looking for, who's on the top of the scoreboard, and what do you need to do to continue to climb and get more points. And so basically the way that the week, or the way that the competition works is uh, you have a class on a different topic each day, and they do usually one or two topics a day depending on the scenario or whatever it might be. But you sit in the classroom and you're learning a topic first. Then they give you a challenge of some sort with that topic, and then you basically have some alone time to answer the challenge using what you learned in the classroom. And then from there, you go into what they call these pods with a coach. And so you go from, 120 entrepreneurs in the classroom down to probably maybe 10 to 15 in a pod with a coach. And then you have to answer the challenge in front of the coach. And then the coach has some time to kind of quiz you, ask you some things. And all of this is happening in front of the other, 10 to 15 entrepreneurs that are in the room. And then you get scored on that. The coach scores you on your understanding of the challenge, your understanding of the information that was taught to you in the classroom, and how you applied it to your business to solve the challenge. And then they also score you on how you respond to the coaching. So the coach will ask questions, they will give you some feedback, they will guide you in certain ways, and how you respond to that is also scored as well. So you have to pay attention to all of these different things that are happening, and make sure that if you're competing, if you're trying to win the competition, you need to try to maximize your points. So you're thinking about what's the right way to respond when I'm being coached. And during the classroom time, how I'm learning a new topic, but I'm also thinking about how can I apply this to my business. And then you're taking the time to actually explain how that particular topic is applied to your business in real world scenarios, right? So all of these things are happening. You're getting points for all of this. And then you come back together towards the end of the day, and basically they have a winning company from each pod. So each pod announces the winning company that had the highest points for that session. Then those people go up on stage in front of 150 entrepreneurs, and they do like this rapid fire questions about the topic. So you're up there on stage, 150 people out there, and Wes or one of the coaches, whoever it is just firing questions at you, and you have to answer them about that day's topic as it applies to your business, and you get scored on that. And then basically at the end of the day, they take, you get points for all of these different things. You also, I think you get points for networking. You get I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can get points. At the end of the day, then they announce the top three for that day. I think it's the top three. And you get these red jerseys that say Bloxer across the back. So the top three get red jerseys, and then the next day you're wearing the red jerseys all day. So now everybody kind of know, you got this target on your back
Yeah.
of who's in the top three. And the first I don't know, the first 3 or 4 days, Lean Solutions was on the top. We were at the top of the leader, or at least within the top three, the majority of those days. And I won't say where I
Yeah.
ended up,
Don't ruin it.
but those first few days, I was
Yeah.
definitely up there,
Okay.
which was cool. It was a lot of
Wow.
fun. Again, like I said, I'm super competitive, so but there were so many great leaders, entrepreneurs that were there that I got to know on a personal level. Just had so much fun with, and really, really made some lifelong friendships with too. So it was just such a great experience.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. So without spoiling too much, because I know people want to, if they're going to watch it, they probably don't want to know everything about it. But
Right.
just, can you give us a sense of what kind of topics? I'm intrigued as to what kind of topics they brought up that, and these were obviously brand new to you. You didn't know about them before, and so you couldn't study for it, you couldn't prepare for it. What kind of topics are we talking about?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I am competitive, right? So I did do my research ahead of time. There
Okay.
were, whatever, 16, 17 seasons already out on the block. So I binged all of the seasons before I left and did my studying, right?
Right.
So I definitely did have well, I mean, I guess anybody could have done that, but I felt like it gave me a little bit of a leg up, at least in my own personal mind. Like, I kind of knew what to expect. I knew some of the topics, and they even in the earlier seasons they list some of the challenges, and so I even knew. Now they were different. They actually, what they do for every season is they probably have a list of, I don't even know how many topics, probably 70, 80, 100 topics. They only cover maybe 8 to 10 of them in a season, and they change them every season. So every season it's all different topics. But these could be topics from like inbound marketing, growth hacking, fundraising for your company, business model, scaling, how to scale your operations, having an entrepreneurial mindset, uh, even not just entrepreneurial mindset, but how to have a mindset that can work through difficult situations. Even as leaders, whether you're an entrepreneur or just a leader in your organization, it's not easy, and sometimes you feel like you're out on an island by yourself, right? And so those are the types of things that they're covering. Even
Mm.
I mentioned lean startup,
Mm.
iterative practices, and how you apply that to a business, or new product development. How do we apply lean iterative design tactics to new product development? That was one of the
Tell,
topics.
tell me you won that one, Patrick. Tell
um,
me you won that one. You're in Lead Solutions. You have to win that one.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. I really enjoyed that one. It was fun to hear Wes teach that topic. I know that that's one of his favorite topics, and just thinking about even Beta Blocks itself. He talked about how the startup for Beta Blocks, and how, you want to start with a, a small product, something that you don't put a lot of time, effort into, something that you can just test very quickly and learn as much as you can in the beginning before you pour all this time, attention, money, resources into it. But how do you start with this minimal viable product and then iteratively, reflect, adjust, experiment, and just continue that process as you're growing and developing at the least amount of a resource input as possible. And so, he talked about that with businesses, whether you're doing that to start a business or whether you're doing that to experiment with a product. And, before you spend all this time developing this huge uh, learning platform with all these topics, you should probably first find out if anyone's even going to be interested in learning about those topics, right? So, just different tactics on how you can experiment to see, like, is this something that's going to be valuable for my customers, or is it not something that they're even interested in?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so
So
yeah, so that was a really great topic for me.
massive amounts of learning, I'd say. Even, I mean, you never know it all. You never. And every day, every week, things are changing. The world is changing, and staying on top of all these topics. And I know that's a lot to cram into one week, but it sounds like the learning was amazing, which is obviously, a big part of why you signed up. So well done. That sounds awesome. Like really, really, really fun. And tell me then, okay, if you think about your whole week, you obviously, as you said, made connections, you engaged in all of these activities. What were your biggest couple of takeaways from the whole thing in terms of learning, for yourself or for your own company?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. I will say that probably the number one most important thing that I learned uh, was when I was when so in our world. For many of you that are listening in right now, you're probably a lean practitioner, a lean consultant, a leader who understands lean mindset practices. So you know the lingo, right? A lot of times when I'm working with my clients, when I'm coaching someone, whatever it might be, they know the lingo, they understand what we do. But anyone that's outside of the lean world does not understand those words. And sometimes I have a tendency to use very complex terms, or, you know, niche words that are very specific to the Toyota production system, or, Japanese words, or just very, very, I'm a process engineer, so I think things are very complex for me. So anyways, first day I'm there explaining to everyone what I do, and people are confused. Like, and I realized right away, in fact, one of the
Yeah.
coaches said to me, I'm not going to cuss, but he used a cuss word. he said, I don't know what the F you do. Like, and it was like an eye-opening moment for me. Like,
Mm.
how do we get others outside of the lean community, outside of, the toy, how do we get others to understand what we do and how important it is for their business and how it can be effective and help them to be successful in what they do? If I can't get them to understand what it is that I do, then how will I ever be able to help them? And so
Mm.
it was day one or day two when I tried to pitch my business, and the coaches were like, you got to clean this up, it's got to be simpler.
Mm.
And so I went from a very complex kind of explanation of my business to
Mm.
a very simple, one liner of what I do. And even then, I remember explaining what I do as, we're a training and consulting firm that helps leaders eliminate waste in their processes. And even that, someone in the audience was like, "You mean like trash? Like what? Like when you say waste, you're talking like no, 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 like wasteful processes." And so again, I had to think through that again and go, okay, I got to refine this to the point where it's very simple, very clear, so that anyone can understand what it is that we do. So
That's
I
a
would say that was
really
probably a huge takeaway for me.
That's a really good takeaway. I mean, I think it's a kind of a common problem right across our industry with lean, and it has been a barrier for sure for a lot of companies who I suppose want to go down that road but don't know it, don't trust it. So, and then did with that takeaway, did you make any changes as a result, or are you in the process of making any changes then?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did, and I continue to. As a, a lot of what I did, I actually have a black book that I had with me the entire week that I took crazy amount of notes in. And our team, when I got back, we spent the next couple months just going through that black book. And as a team, especially like our marketing manager Liz and I, like really going through and really redefining how we express what we do and the value that we provide to our customers. And it's been an ongoing process. We continue to think about that and challenge ourselves. Even for the Lean Solutions Summit, how do we tap into individuals that do not know anything about lean, have never heard about lean before, but we know that the principles, the tools, the practices, the mindset can be valuable for them if they knew it, if they understood it, if they could apply it. So how do we get them to come to the summit and learn about what we do? And even when they come to the summit, is it going to be way over their head?
Mm,
So
mm,
off, even we've had conversations about offering like basic class, a basic lean class prior to the summit,
mm,
or an
mm,
intro to the terminology or something, just to help
mm,
people that are not in our world really understand what it is that we do and how it
mm.
can apply to their business.
Wow. Okay, really good takeaways. That's excellent, Patrick. Okay, great. So then you mentioned you were up against other people. So you networked and you met lots of these people. Hopefully you didn't fight too much over the course of the week. And you didn't fall out with anybody. Was there a bit of tension ever? Like, was it a bit like that any of the time, or was it all everyone's very nice and polite?
I think it was all for fun. I mean, yes, there was a cash prize at the end,
Mm,
which I think there people were interested in, but realistically, everyone was there to learn, and everyone was so supportive. Everyone was helping each other out. There was never a point where I felt like, like on some reality TV shows that you watch, like it's like, holy cow, either they're talking behind each other's backs and they're
yeah. Yeah.
backstabbing, and none of that was happening at all.
Oh,
Um,
nobody
it
watch it now.
wasn't. It wasn't. That was. It, but
Yeah.
I think there were a couple times where they interviewed me, behind stage,
Mm,
and they kind of tried to push a little bit of that,
yeah.
like maybe in a fun way. I don't know, but like asking questions like, who's the person to go after, or who do you think's going to win tonight, or who, so they kind of tried to
Yeah.
prompt a little bit of that. And I haven't gone through all the shows yet, so who knows, maybe someone was talking about me behind my back. I don't know. We'll see when I get through each one of the episodes.
Yeah, but I'm sure there were moments where it wasn't easy. You were being filmed. You had to make important decisions. I mean, you're under pressure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't easy all the time to, maintain composure, to be nice to each other all the time in the traditional nice sense. I'm sure there was times where, in any competition, it gets a little bit rough and tumble, but that's fairly normal.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So okay, and then of the people you met, were there some good connections there? Who in particular stood out to you from your, I suppose, opponents?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I met a ton of great people. Like I said, there were people that were from all different industries. So, there wasn't necessarily. I think there were a few other consultants or coaches that were, um, in a similar industry as mine. So obviously, like, conversations with them were great because we were kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and really, um, even helping each other out with some different things. How do you approach this, or how did you answer this challenge, or how, what does your marketing look like? So there were some good conversations in that way. I made some good friends, some individuals that I've stayed connected with. Even done some business, or had conversations about the possibility of business in the future. So from that aspect, it was super valuable. I know there's individuals in different places around the U.S. that if I end up there, I'll definitely look them up and try to connect with them for coffee or lunch or whatever it might be. So,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that's really great. Yeah, that's a big part of it. It's good.
Oh
Good.
yeah, no, it was
Good.
great for sure.
Yeah. And was there anything in terms of when the cameras weren't rolling? Is there anything that you can tell us? Any little sneaky things, stories you can tell us that the cameras might have missed?
Ooh, good question. Well, I'm trying to think here.
Mhm.
So they had a lot of different activities set up. Like I said, the cameras were rolling all the time. So,
Mhm.
they had a fire pit outside where everybody would go out and kind of hang out and
Mhm.
chat, and that was a lot of fun, getting to know people on a more of a personal level. I mean, you know, having conversations even about like nonprofit organizations that people support, and giving back, and as a business owner, how important it is that we have gratitude, not just that we're work work work, push push push, sell sell sell, but stopping
Mhm.
to reflect and think and be thankful for what we've been able to achieve, what we have, because entrepreneurship can be difficult. It can be lonely. And so I think that was super valuable for me, having some of those conversations, um, learning about other businesses too. I mean, you know, there's so many different great ideas out there that are being developed into successful businesses. And I was able to learn about some of those, just, um, the one that comes to mind is he explained his business as the worm. What did he say? The worm, uh worm shit was his thing, and he he was a fertilizer business, but they grow worms and use the worm feces to fertilize for farmers. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Never realized that was a business. Um, but
No,
there's just so many different businesses that were represented there. It was just cool to learn from learn all the different businesses out there.
great. Okay, good stuff. You must have been tired at the end of that week. That's
Oh yeah, that was the thing. Like, honestly, I went into it, like I said, I'm a very competitive person. So day 1, 2, and 3, like, I am 100% fully in, not worried about sleep, like just studying, really trying to make sure that I'm on point. Well, honestly, by day 3, my brain started to shut down. I mean, I was so exhausted from the way that the show is set up, where you're being fed all this information. It's like you're drinking from a fire hose. You're getting so much information in such a short period, but you're not just learning about it. Then you go from taking it all in to then thinking about, okay, now how do I take these things and actually apply them to my business? So now you're thinking about it that way, then you're presenting it, and then you're getting coaching. So now you got this back and forth going on. And again, by the end of day 3, towards the end of the day, I could just feel myself just so drained, and I was having a hard time even thinking. I remember them asking me a question behind stage on the cameras, and whether or not this shows up, I don't know, but I literally was like, I can't even answer this question right now. Like, I don't even. It's a simple question, but my mind is just not working right now. Like, I couldn't. I was just so exhausted. So,
yeah, yeah.
but it
Okay.
was it was worth it though. It was a
Yeah,
ton of fun.
short term. I mean, I don't I think a lot of the time, when we become business owners and, we've worked hard on our business, we've gone and done all the qualifications, and now we're managing people and teams. And I think it's really important to put yourself in a position where you're challenging yourself and you're learning. And a lot of the time, we don't have the time to sign up to these big, intensive PhDs or master's courses, which would challenge us, but they simply take too much time. But something like that is an amazing way to just challenge yourself in the short term, maybe wreck yourself for a week, but come out the other side with huge learning, huge development in self-awareness with all the feedback and the coaching, and you recover quite quickly from a week, let's face it. So just sounds like a really, really great thing to do. And well done. It's not easy putting yourself out there in front of the whole world for them to also watch you think. That's pressure. So sounds amazing. Well done. I can't wait to
Yeah.
watch it, Patrick.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I'm excited that the just even for myself going back through and watching the episodes, starting to watch them, it's bringing me back and even thinking about like, oh man, I totally like that's one thing that I didn't that I remember learning and
yeah,
saying I need to bring back and apply that I didn't. So even now as I'm going through it, I'm learning things and wanting to apply them to my business. So for anyone out there that is interested, that is running your own business, or even if you're just interested in what it takes to run a business, or how to storytell, lean startup practices, that mindset piece. I mean, all of those things are talked about in each of the episodes, and I think it's definitely valuable and worth watching. So
excellent. Good, good. So, for any Patrick Adams fans out there, which I know you have tons and tons of, remind us, Patrick, again, where we know you do. You have so many. I mean, you do. So many people have read your book. So many people have come to your summits. So many people will want to watch you on this show. And obviously, the show itself sounds amazing as well. So, just remind us one last time where we can access the show and watch it.
you're too kind, Catherine. I appreciate it. No, the so currently it's available on, you can go to Apple App Store. You can search the Blox, which is Blox, and you can find the app itself. And all the seasons are on there. So season 19 is the latest one that dropped. You can go to Facebook and you can search Beta Blox, so at BETABLOX, and it should come up with their Facebook page. You'll be able to find it there. And then the other thing you can do is you can go to their website, betablox.com, BETABLOX.com, and you can find it there. I'm sure we can drop that probably into the show notes, and that way everybody can find it there as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Let's do that. Okay, Patrick, I will let you go. It's been amazing talking to you and catching up. And I will see you again, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks for our next episode of the Lean Solutions podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Catherine.